Okay, folks, here's just a few more hints. This is example number 2. And it says here, we want a half section for this drawing, and you need to create it at an appropriate scale. So if you look at this actual object here, from top to bottom, you are looking at a height of, we've got 75 mils here, and you've got a 10 mil radius here because it's 75 down to this point here. So, which is lining up with this central hole here, horizontally through the hole. So you've got to add on this radius here, and we've got a radius of 10 here. So we add 10 on to that 75, and that should give us a total length of 85 millimeters. So I've drawn this to double that scale, giving a length of 17 centimeters. I'll just grab a ruler. So we know that this distance here is going to be about 17 centimeters from top to bottom. So I did a bottom line here, and I measured up 17, and I actually did a little horizontal guideline, and that got me started to creating this drawing. Now it says it's a half section view of this object in the space below on the right. So right hand side half section view. So we're sectioning it on the right hand side of this object. So that's where we're actually going to be cutting it through the center. So if you can imagine this object where we've got a circle here at the bottom here that has a radius of 10, so it's 20 across. So exactly 10 across from there through the center line is where we're going to be slicing this thing open. So that's the first thing that you've got to get your head around. And then there's a couple of things in this one that we didn't sort of deal with in the previous example, and one of them is these curves here. So they've said here for this one here, 6. What I do is I actually get myself, you would get a compass, but I have lost my compass, but I got my dividers here, and we'll pretend this is a compass. And what you need to do is, you've got a radius of 6, okay? So that means from the center out to the edge is 6 mils, but of course this is a scale of 2 to 1. And so 2 over 1 is double the size. So if we've got a radius of 6, we need to have a radius of 12 for our actual drawing. So you can get your dividers or your compass and set it so you've got it at 12. And then to get this curve correct, what I did was I placed the needle of the compass on the center of that hole, and then you sweep your compass around, and that will give you the correct line, okay, from there. Now for this other one, we've also got coming in this way, a 6. So what I did for that one was I took a line up, directly vertically up through the center of that small hole, and I placed my compass on that line so that the actual pencil is sitting on the line, and then I just extend it. I extend it up so that it sweeps back up onto the body of this object. So you end up with 2 6 millimeter radius curves, okay? Now positioning of these holes, this one here, you just have to look at all the measurements that you're given to work out distances. So for the bottom of this object, we had an 8 mil hole, so it's going to be 16 across, and this whole thing here is 20 across because we have a radius of 10, and of course your diameter is double your radius. So measuring across would be 20, but because we've got 2 times the scale, we're going to have a 40 mil distance across the object, which is what we have. So I went 40 across. I did a center line to mark where the center of the hole would be in the vertical sense, and then I had to work out, well, how far up from the bottom is that? Well, you can look here, we know there's a radius of 10, so we're going to be 20 up from the bottom. So I measured up 20, and that's how I positioned my hole. And of course you would then set your compass with a radius of 4, because the diameter is 8, and you would draw those circles. So this is very much the same approach as the last example, barring, of course, you having to use your compass. Okay, so like I said, set your compass to the radius that's required, which is a radius of 12 because it's double the 6, and you just sit at the center of that hole, sweep it around, and then you put it up on the line that goes vertically up from that hole, and you sweep it around from there, and you should get nice series of curves that are at the right radius. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful, this whole process is going to be about understanding measurements and lengths and total lengths and appropriate scales, but they're not that difficult. Once you start doing enough of them, you will make mistakes in them. I'll probably make mistakes in them, but as long as you get the general approach, you have a good chance of being able to answer this type of question in your exams.